raising women's voices.
One story at a time.
Welcome to the She Said Project podcast.
So it takes a lot of inspiration and motivation to create something like That's What She Said. So, Carrie, every time I think about the origin story of this movement, I am in awe. So we're sitting here at the She Said Project podcast only because once upon a time, as every good story begins, you and your friends created this concept of empowering women to share their stories. So thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'm Jeanette Jerzyk, National Director of the movement called She Said, and Carrie Rasso, co-founder, one of the OG in the house. I mean, you're always in the house. OG is not code for old.
Old gals.
You age like a good wine or a cheese, whichever.
Well, thank you for always being so generous. And it was great fun and big ideas that start things, but you really have just taken the ball and run with it.
Well, I opened our dialogue for a reason like this, and you hit it on the head with the big ideas, because our guest today is someone who gets things done. She's a mover, she's a shaker, she's full of ideas, and the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in Vivian Doctora, who appeared on stage, and That's What She Said, Bloomington Normal. But it reminds me of the early days of That's What She Said. I don't know, did you guys, I don't think you ever used the word entrepreneur, but do you ever feel like that's what you were doing? It was like a startup?
No, we really thought that we had created the moon. We didn't. I think that our ignorance of the way you're supposed to do things and our ignorance about sort of the machine behind how things get done, it was great fun because we had no template to follow. The sky was the limit. We could just come up with what we wanted to look like. We knew we wanted to honor women. We knew we wanted to work together, and we just made it our own.
But nothing gets done without women moving it forward. Okay.
And people saying yes to it.
Yes.
The greatest thing is we had all these crazy ideas, and no one would say no. Everybody kept green lighting us, and so we just kept going. And so now whenever it's my turn to green light any kind of a project, I think whenever I'm nervous, just do it, just green light it. No just stops everything. And so don't be a no person. Which
I'm so proud of you for saying that. I know, because you have chosen to stay open and curious and, keep energy, keep momentum moving forward. And that is required to grow and to create something that we have with That's What She Said. And so I love that. In the spirit of that, we're going to bring our guest on and say hello to Vivian Doctora, who's joining us via satellite here on location in Bloomington Normal. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, how are you?
Isn't she adorable?
Yes.
Oh.
And the Bloomington show is something special anyway. Every time we're over there, I think I just love that group of women. That is a community that has been on a green light run of supporting women. I love Bloomington.
I'd have to agree with that. There's a lot of entrepreneurship and a lot of women's empowerment in your community. Wouldn't you say?
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
So Vivian, I couldn't even begin to share your resume with our listeners today. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, what you do today and the businesses that you've created. And then we'll talk a little bit about the why and the how.
Sure. So my name is Vivian Doctora. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I also am an author, also a TEDx speaker, thanks to Jeanette. So today I own multiple businesses. I started my first business called Bao Destination as a ghost kitchen concept during the middle of pandemic. And then I went on and created Beyond Social, which is a cooking class business with a partner of mine. And then my latest project is create with another business partner on the first ever revolving sushi restaurant here in Bloomington Normal. It's called Kobe Revolving Sushi. But I'm not done. I still have other stuff that I'm working on right now. I didn't start it as an entrepreneur, although I'm really passionate about starting my own business. I actually worked at State Farm for 21 years before I said goodbye to them and pursue my dream as an entrepreneur. So that's a little bit about me.
I'm watching Carrie's face. She's like,
The revolving sushi. That was it. You had me there. I'm going to Bloomington as soon as we wrap this.
it's
Yes,
a
please
fantastic
do.
restaurant. I have been, but you own traditional businesses. You own pop-ups. You teach classes. So I know, and you shared that you were in the corporate world for a very long time, and no shade to State Farm or any of these businesses that keep communities running. We all need a paycheck and some security, and the lessons learned working in corporate America are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But we all know it takes super faith and courage to make the leap to entrepreneurship. And you did it during the pandemic. Let's talk about that move for a second.
That was a bold move. I agree. But I wanted to own my business for a long time, even before COVID hit. COVID just delayed the process. I mean, in hindsight, in 2020, I think it probably the universe is telling me that I wasn't ready for it. So, oftentimes I think it's just about timing. My husband and I wanted to create a food hall, which is kind of like a food court but more elevated, house different independent local merchants from food to selling your products, but mainly food here in Bloomington Normal. We already have everything sort of in place. We have the developer. We talked to Uptown Normal. Everything was sort of ready to go, and then COVID hit and just kind of stopped everything. But in the meantime, once we kind of get through sort of all the things that going on with COVID, I started to learn how to make bao, which is something my mom used to make when we were little. It's a all-day process because it's very complex. Everything my mom does is complex. So it takes all day, it takes everyone involved. But the idea is to get everyone involved and we have fun doing it. So during the pandemic, where everybody learned how to make sourdough bread, which I cannot get a yeast to start for whatever reason. I don't know how to feed it. I don't know how often to feed it. I just sort of gave up. I said, I'm not doing sourdough. I'm just going to try something else. So I start making bao and then start making it and sort of perfect the recipe in a way. So I was like, why don't I just start sell them? In my mind, I said, if I don't or never own or have experience owning a restaurant or any type of food business, how are these people are supposed to lease like a stall from us to trust that will probably keep this food hall operation concept alive and well? So I said, why don't I go out and try to learn, how to open a food business, what I needed to do, and to gain some experiences. And then I said, maybe I can do it part-time. I get a pretty good paycheck. I don't want to give it up. And then my husband was like, how are you going to do it part-time? What are you going to do? You're going to like do in the morning and at night. It doesn't even make sense. Just do it. Just go for it. So I said, okay, we have some saving set aside. I said, okay, I'm just going to quit and just do this. And then not going to do long because I just needed the experience, right? Because we're opening a food hall. So once the food hall is open, I'm just going to move out into it, naive of me not thinking about all these things, the complexity. So I went but I don't want to spend any money into opening a kitchen. So I'm looking for a kitchen in Bloomington Normal where allow me to set it up where it's already set up and ready to go. All I have to do is just lease it. And at the time, Park Regency Hotel was getting ready to kind of make their kitchen into a ghost kitchen concept or commissary. And I was like, perfect. I'll just lease it, test it out, and figuring out, and then sort of go from there. So then that's where Bao Destination come from.
So I kind of saw Vivian, I kind of watched her from the sidelines. Like I knew Bao Destination was at the Park Regency. This lovely hotel in Bloomington is actually owned and operated by a She Said alum, Uma Kailasam, who appeared in our show in 2021. And so I kind of saw her on the periphery, and then our paths kept crossing at some women's networking events. I saw you, and some speaking gigs. I saw you. We just kind of always made eyes across the room,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, at some point I need to get to know that woman over there. And I kind of asked for an introduction, and the rest is what you say. She said history, right?
Okay, so Vivian, let's hear your side. That's Jeanette's version. Let's hear your version. How did you get connected?
So I went to one of the She Said. I think Mita is the one that took me to the one in Peoria. And then she sort of already planted a seed to me and say, hey, I think you should be a speaker. And then I kind of sort of secretly, a low key, as that my kids would call it, low key love public speaking. So I'm like, I was just kind of keep that in the back of my head. I said, but I don't know what I want to talk about. And Jeanette, it's right. I've been like sort of secretly low-key stalking her, and I'm asking people, how do I get on this She Said platform? How do I be a speaker? Is it an application? Do I need to, like, in the State Farm world, know someone to know someone to know someone to know someone, right? And she was like, I think they were doing a rehearsal in Park Regency. I think Louisa was one of the speaker at the time. And they were having a drink in the bar, and I kind of walk in and I need to go to the kitchen. I gave Louisa a hug. And then I kind of lay in the sideline. I was like, okay, I think that's Jeanette. Um,
It's definitely mutual stalking.
I love this.
yes. I don't know who actually ended up connecting us. It's kind of, I'm getting old, so I have these lost memory. I don't remember who actually connected us, but somehow connected us. And I'm like, this is the year that I want to be on that stage and tell my story. So.
And she's been on so many stages since, which we will talk about after we share your story. But one more quick highlight, because she's being so humble. Vivian is also one of the creators, and I'm going to get this wrong, the Young Artisans, Young Entrepreneurs Fair and Market. Wow. So she and some colleagues started this this fair where young what is the ages? 8 to 12, 8 to 14?
Yeah, 5 to 18.
5 to 8. So kids and teenagers who create or make jewelry or crochet or woodworking, they have a place where they can have a stall and sell their goods. And so I had heard of this. And then my daughter actually participated in one of the markets with her friend, and they sold jewelry. So total connection. I mean, she doesn't just go after her own business concept. She creates space for others. Vivian creates space for young people to create and go after their entrepreneurship goals, and she creates space for women to feel empowered and inspired. So that's who she is. So I couldn't imagine a better match for the She Said sisterhood and to give this woman a microphone and a stage to tell her story. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to hear what Vivian had to say, because it was awesome.
What did Vivian say?
What did Vivian say? We're going to find out. So for all of our friends in She Said land who are entrepreneurs, who have ever thought about starting your own business, this is a story for you. Please enjoy Vivian's performance from That's What She Said Bloomington Normal 2024 with My Destination.
Growing up in Hong Kong, expectations for who you are going to be are often decided before you are born. My parents grew up in a culture where the only acceptable path for their children is to excel in school, get a job at a prestigious company, marry well, and know how to play piano. However, from the day I was born, I was not living up to those expectations. My mom liked to tell me the story that I was such a sick baby when I was born. So it was lucky that I'm even alive today. She also liked to tell me how flat my nose used to be when I was a baby. And her aunt kept telling her that she'll have to pay someone to marry me, as in the ultimate goal in life is to get married. I'm not sure this is true or not, but she also told me they used to put a nose clip on my nose to make it grow taller. I guess it worked, because I have the tallest nose in my family. But friends, don't try that at home. I guess growing up, I realized there's a lot of competition in an Asian family. Who's the tallest? who goes to the best school, who gets a good grades. Getting good grades is like an Olympic sport. There's a lot of emphasis and pressure associated with grades. Perhaps there's a reason why there's a story or a joke on the internet that we are Asian and not Bayesian. So getting anything other than an A is not acceptable. I was never a smart student. School was not easy for me for some reason. I repeated second grade, because my grade wasn't good enough to move on to third grade. I remember my report card was all red, and my parents were very disappointed. Let me explain to you. My kids have it easy growing up in America. In Hong Kong, we started learning how to spell at 3. At 4 years old, we expected to write in full sentences in both Chinese and in English. Let's not talk about math. They said Asian not good in math? Not this Asian here. The only math that I'm good at is called a discount math. You know, like when you go shopping, you saw a top on sale for 20%. I can tell you in a heartbeat how much it costs after it discounted. My friend, that is called a discount math. School system in Hong Kong involved a lot of testing. Elementary school was not easy for me, because I didn't do so well with the placement test at the 6th grade level, so I didn't get to go to a better school. Everyone wear uniforms, so you can tell what school you go to just by looking at what you have on. My mom was disappointed and didn't want to let my neighbors or my relative know, so every morning I would have to hide on my way to school. So each morning I have to go on a different floor to get on a different elevator so that I don't run into my neighbor, because if I do, they will know the truth. I did that for about a year until I moved to a better school and no longer felt ashamed of being seen by my neighbors. I struggled through high school, and the truth is I wouldn't have gone into college if I hadn't moved to the state. And I don't know what life would have been if I stayed in Hong Kong. So in a way, I do have to give credit to my parents for investing in our future and moving here to the States. I never truly thought about what I want to be when I grew up. Perhaps it is because I always told what my future would look like. When I was picking a major for college, I actually wanted to major in nutrition, but my mom didn't really like the idea. She said, "What are you going to do with that major? You're going to teach people how to cook?" So I changed my major to business administration. It is kind of funny, however, because I'm now doing exactly what she didn't want me to do. I teach people how to cook. As I got into a workforce, I continued to feel like there was an expectation of me and what I should be. I was always reminded to be responsible, to never take risks, because taking risks, it's not in our DNA. To be successful, I must be in leadership, to be a director or a vice president. But for me, I just want to be known and recognized as a hard worker, someone that will go above and beyond and prove that I'm capable, even though I don't sound and look apart from others. Don't get me wrong. I was truly blessed and have been given many opportunities in my 21 years in the corporate world. And I have people believe in me more than I believe in myself. However, there was always or also part of me that felt like I had to keep proving myself. I was supposed to strive for a leadership position. I was supposed to always be available to raise my children and cook for my family. I was supposed to be able to do it all. And then I reached a point where I asked myself, how long do I have to do this? Is this something I want to continue to do for the next 20 years? And the answer was, heck no. Something within me wanted more. I wanted to prove myself that I could do anything that I set my mind to. I wanted to experience the reward that comes with taking a greater risk. In 2021, during the lockdown, I find myself watching a lot of streaming video. Don't judge, I know you all do it too. And I came across this video of Oprah interviewing Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. And he said this quote, "I would rather flirt with failure than to never dance with my joy." And that stuck with me. Shortly after, I saw an opportunity to leave my corporate position and decided for the first time to listen to my heart and step out on my own. Starting my business was by far the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Something I was told since I was little not to do, because it would involve taking a risk. My entrepreneur journey started with Bao Destination, a pop-up concept where I made handcrafted authentic bao, a typical Asian dish. Today, you can find my product in local grocery store. And in a month, I'll be opening the first ever revolving sushi restaurant with my business partner here in Bloomington, Normal. It's scary. It's exciting. But as I enter into my 50 era, I feel like I have something to be proud of besides my children. I finally made it. From a kid that almost didn't make it at birth, a kid that had to repeat second grade, a kid that almost didn't get to go to college and finish school. I don't think I achieved my ultimate success, but at least I feel like for once in my life, I'm taking charge of my life and my destiny. I flirted with failure, so now I get to dance with my joy.
If I have learned one thing from Vivian's story, it is do not underestimate Vivian Doctora, because if she wants to get something done, she's going to do it, and she's going to do it well. Your story is incredible. Tell us about all your businesses today. They're all doing well. What are you active in, and what's coming down the pipeline?
So sushi is doing well. It's been 1 year now since we opened. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary. We learned a lot in the last year, not just the business, but just managing a large number of staff, as well as just having a business partner, communications, and all that good stuff. Bao is sort of here because of the limited time and capacity that I have. Currently, about nobody actually have bao in their store because I don't have time to make it. We still need to figure out how to teach people, pass on that knowledge, and have someone actually do it instead of me being in the business versus working on the business. Beyond Social is still live and well. Our business partner have great plan for 2026. So just working on how to strategize it and expand, and then continue our mission and wanting to get people involved and do something active together versus just going out to eat or watch a movie. And I'm working on something right now, sort of getting into that public speaking space. So more to come on that one.
You're not going to give us the dish.
Not yet. I'm not ready to roll that whole puppy out. A lot of things are still in the works, so I want to make sure that I am ready because I don't want people to start booking me. I'm not ready for that.
Well, she jumped in the water feet first. I mean, right after that's what she said. She submitted herself as a speaker for TEDx Normal, which is a great event here in Central Illinois, and she did it. And yeah, I was there. I got to cheer her on. It was awesome.
Well, I have to say, Vivian, when I was watching you, I was really struck by the part when you sort of got choked up during when you said being proud of more than your children. That really struck me because you seem like there were so many things for you to be proud of, but how lucky that you were brave enough to make that leap. Can you talk more about that? That really struck me.
I think it's just the upbringing. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that I think your parents or your culture have certain type of expectation, right? It is a big risk to leave a steady paycheck, right? It doesn't matter if you work or not work, you just gonna get paid, right? So the fact that you have to step out and sort of venture into the unknown, that is the risk. But I would probably do it all over again because it's true that I finally feel like I have control of my life and what I wanted to do. No one is telling me to go left or right, or on 55 or 74. It's really up to me decided where I want to take my destiny. I'm finally in control the first time. Obviously, I'm proud of my children always, no matter what. But I never really think about sort of me and my accomplishments. So that was every time I read that line, it doesn't matter how many times I said it, I get choked up like all the time. So.
I think something when women in their, my co-founders and I were in our early 40s when we started this. And I think that there is something magical that you start to come into your own during this era. And then also making the connection that it's important for your kids to see you doing what you love.
Yeah.
What was their reaction? Were they there? Have they seen this?
I don't think they probably seen it. They were not there, but they have probably seen it online. And I think they were kind of choked up about the whole story that they were like, oh, mommy, I didn't sort of realize that. So I think they have said that they were proud of me. So that's made me happy.
Well, there are so many people and so many women who are in stable jobs that have, these fantasies and these dreams of what they would love to try one day. And they never try. They never give it a shot because they're not willing to give up that stability. And sometimes I think about, like, if you had never tried, you would have been fine. You would have been, a rock star in corporate America. But I think about what you would really think about yourself, and I don't think you would have had, like, the joy that I know you for, the joy that you carry in your heart would not have been there if you had just stayed the course, did what you were supposed to do, and there would have been nothing wrong with it. You still would have been successful.
Yeah.
But what was it that gave you that spark to do it?
That's a good question. I think it's because the thought of spending another 10 years in an environment where I am not appreciated or I have to fight for what my worth is, I just can't picture myself there at all. It every day waking up feel like a struggle just to arrive and be present. I truly was not joyful. I don't enjoy what I do. And I obviously probably could find another position. But then that's what I think mainly also a little bit of a money driven. And when they tell me that that's the amount of money you can make, that's it. You cannot go anymore because we just gonna top you up. and that's it. That's all you can make. And I think that also pushed me to realize that who are you to tell me that's how much I'm worth? Because I think the sky is the limit. I truly do. So for someone to tell me that it doesn't matter what you do, how hard you work, that's how much you're gonna make, period. You top out. Can't give you any more unless you get another promotion. Um, but I don't think I'm willing to fight for my worth. It's I can't picture myself. I try to visualize it, but I can't. I just can't visualize myself being in that environment for another maybe 5 or 10 years. I just couldn't. So I said, that's it, I'm done.
So did you know when you came on board with She Said, did you know right away what you were going to talk about, or did that take some fleshing out?
That definitely takes some fleshing out. I have a lot of ideas in my head. I thought about telling a story about my upbringing. I think I thought about talking about maybe my friendship, and I think it's a lot of conversation that I have with Jeanette about how to narrow it down to really truly tell my story. So.
Well, sharing your upbringing the way you did was very vulnerable. You showed a side of your family life that, you weren't necessarily proud of, or that created some embarrassment. You fully admitted you had to redo second grade. And all of these messages that were in your head about, that you were, an unwell child, and you kind of were set up with some messages that maybe could have blocked you if you had let them. And I think the spark and the magic that is you is that instead it fueled you, like it fueled your fire, that you're going to go prove it to the world that nothing's going to stop you now. Not only are you not letting others define your worth, you're stepping out and you're going to create your own worth. Yeah. And that in itself has power.
Yeah.
I think.
And a lot of things that I do, I oftentimes keep it in mind is that if my story or what I have learned that I can pass on to someone else who's sort of in that path or in their early journey and wanting to fulfill or want their dream or wanted to start a business, if I can pass on what I learned to them, to me, it's probably more, it satisfies sort of my accomplishment versus maybe making another buck or $20 somewhere. That's kind of what I ultimately feel like that's what I'm here on earth to do, is to help other people to be where they need to be. So.
It's that visual, Carrie, you sometimes mention, women climbing the ladder and reaching behind and pulling the next one up. I mean, that definitely describes Vivian and her community. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive in deeper. I want to know more about what's next for you. And you're right, you are an inspiration for other entrepreneurs. We're going to keep it going. So Vivian, part of what makes you special and unique is every step of your own entrepreneurial journey, you are sharing your knowledge with others who are, taking their first steps. So first of all, what's your why? Like, why do you choose to do that and share? And second of all, what platforms have you been able to use to do that?
I think I maybe said a little bit earlier about my why. When I was in high school, I think you thought about what you want to be when you grow up, right? And I thought about I want to be a social worker because I wanted to help people. But ultimately, I probably didn't pursue that just because it's just more complicated world in the social environment. I just don't feel like maybe it's built for that. But the core of who I am and what I want to be, helping others, is still there. There's several why I want to build legacy, right? I want to be able to build a legacy for my children, for my family, for generation to generation. And I also really truly am passionate into helping others, because if someone would have helped me, and someone have helped me throughout my journey of entrepreneurship, thought about how much easier it would be for me. Yes, in hindsight, I probably would have learned some of that, but a little bit of a tips, a little bit of maybe some guidance from people would have helped me tremendously. And people have done that for me in the past and throughout my entrepreneurship journey. And I want to be able to pay back and help other because I truly believe in having the ability to start something on your own, either big or small. I think that's really powerful in that. So if I can pass on some of the things that I learned, and it will help someone else so that they don't have to go through the pain and the process that I've been through, by all means, I would love to share my knowledge totally. So that's sort of my why. Some of the platform, I guess, how I share my story. I think TEDx maybe a little bit of it. I talk about how I created Young Entrepreneurship Market. And it's a way for me to teach children that there's other opportunity out there. It doesn't have to be a traditional 9 to 5. You can be your own boss. You can start as young as 5, 6, 10, whatever age that you are. And you learn so much from creating your business. Simple from simply from just interacting with people, learning about finance, pricing, sourcing your products. There's so many of these things that you probably don't get taught in school, right? So I want to be able to create that opportunity to allow children to see that they're more than just a traditional path of career, which is nothing wrong with it at all. But it's also if you have a creative mind, if you want to be your own boss, there's opportunity out there and you can do it. So that's one of the platform. I'm also in the process of creating a lot of workshop that can maybe help people for me to pass on my knowledge of how I start a food business, so that it's make it easier for them when they want to start a food business or if they want to reinvent themselves like I do. At age 40, I want to start something else. Where did I go? Is it the right thing to do? How do I sort of baby step into that? I want to be able to help someone to get to where they needed to go, to realize their potential so that they can live their life on purpose, versus feeling they're stuck and they don't have nowhere to go because they just don't know where to begin. So
I'd buy the book.
I would buy the book.
Yeah, no, I see a series of books, of workshops, you gather the knowledge, you apply the knowledge, you share the knowledge. You gather the knowledge, you apply the knowledge, you share the knowledge.
Yeah.
That seems to be your MO. And I want to point out something you said about you thought you were going to study social work because your inner drive was, your purpose was to help people. And God bless the people who are at the front lines doing the work. But this is we haven't spoken these words yet, but I think it's unspoken, but it's important that, people sometimes think that they should not position themselves to make money because that's not a noble cause. And so when you look at the world of entrepreneurship, where you do get to be your own boss and make your own hours, you also get to decide, like you said, what you're worth, and the sky is the limit. And I think it's important that we empower young people that it's okay to make money. You can do good things in the world and you can be financially successful and financially responsible. You can do both. I don't think it's one or the other. And I think sometimes those messages get crossed.
yeah.
You ever hear that?
Oh, well, I'm in education, so.
Right. I mean, because yes, teachers get paid exactly what they're worth all the time.
Yeah. So I hear that a lot, but also when we were beginning the show, there is, and maybe it's just because I am a woman, but it seems like that message is really loud and clear for women, especially. It was one or the other. When we started this, we didn't know that it could make money. And in education, I certainly didn't have the expectation that that was going to be involved. But I think when you connect things that a lot of times people will say, oh, that's heart work. Well, yes, but we still need to pay the bills. So I think reclaiming things that are heart work, like social work, education, being an entrepreneur, yes, it is, from our heart, but it's valuable work that people are doing, and we need to put our money where our mouth is.
How appropriate.
Right, Vivian?
Yes, totally. I agree.
And how old are your kids now?
They are 13. They're going to high school this year.
Are they following in your footsteps? What kind of businesses are they running now?
Well, so they have have you guys heard of the Painted Tree Boutiques? So I think they have one in Bloomington. I don't know. They
Oh, I
have a
do
lot of
think I
different
know what
stalls.
you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's kind of like a what did they say? A third Sunday market. I don't know. I forgot. Antiques boutique kind of business model where you can rent a stall and sell whatever you want, and then you just pay rent. And then they have staff there, so you don't have to man your booth. And when people buy stuff, they just pay at the front counter, and they take 10% off the commission of whatever you sell. So the kids have a booth at Painted Tree Boutique here in Bloomington. It's called Twins and Things, since they're twins. So they sell clothes, accessories, sticker, what have you. So they're not like rich, but they make whatever. They make rent every month so far.
They have to pay their
So
own
they'll-
rent for their booth.
well,
Her
they have a
children
little
have a
account
retail
that's go
store.
in.
Her
Yeah,
Of course
children
they
have a
do.
retail
Of
store.
course they do.
yeah. So they have expenses, they have to buy their products and what have you. So yeah.
But I think just the language that you're using, their booths and a business plan, and that they have to pay rent, all of those things, it's just a shorthand. If you don't have access and understand what that language means, some of these things might not be on the table for you. But I love that you're teaching your own children, but also others, what that looks like. I remember somebody asking to see our business plan, and I was like, I'll get right on that.
Yeah.
But and I was 40-some
right
years
here.
old. But that you are sharing what that means and helping and guiding young people along. I love that.
And I think something so simple as if I think about interaction that kids have at the young entrepreneur market, right? They have to talk to a customer when they come into the booth. They have to be able to articulate what they're selling. And that in these days with the technology, kids just doesn't know how to talk to people. I think something so simple as that, just interacting with someone, I think that is huge in today's environment. They don't like just hide behind a phone and text their friends, and they don't talk to them in person. This is really an opportunity for them to get some, I call it the social skills, right? So that market is really to create, not just to help them build a business or how to create a business or start a business, but it's really also helping them with some of these social skills that they probably may or may not get in this environment or today world. So
That is so true. What valuable skills they need to have, right, to make it in this world. We're going to take a quick break, and we have a few more minutes. We're going to pick Vivian's brain as much as we can before our time is up. I definitely think too many young people today think that their entire lives revolve around the device in their hand and that they're going to make their fortune on TikTok or YouTube or what have you. And there are some that do, so we'll give them some credit. And there are some that are out there with valuable messages. We'll give them some credit too. But these skills you're talking about, Vivian, people skills and learning how to calculate money and sales and purchases and inventory and all these things, like real world skills are getting lost in our young people. And what you've created is just so valuable. We have somewhat of an opportunity. It's a little akin to what you're doing in our teen program. That's what Teens Say, where we teach young ladies how to communicate with their voices and their eyes and their faces and their bodies. Because, right, what you type with your thumbs isn't full communication anymore. Right. And it's a lost art. It's going to be a lost art. This conversation is going to be a lost art if we're not careful. So thanks for keeping that going over there in Bloomington Normal and inspiring our young people.
yeah, I think it's so important.
Okay, so Vivian, tell me this. Did you, what were the guidelines you used for letting your own kids have access to phones or IT? What was your template, or are you learning as you go?
Learning as I go, but I made an agreement with them when they get the telephone. It's one they have screen time, so they're only allowed to be on screen for so many hours. They are not allowed to have any social media apps on their telephone. They can only contact people that are within their phone. So if they doesn't have if the phone number is not on their contact, they will not be able to text, call, or anything. The phone is used so that we can communicate. Like you need a ride, you need something to eat, you need to go somewhere else, and also for sort of like a safety reason. But no phone at dinner table, period. When I'm driving you from point A to point B, no telephone because I am here, not a Uber driver, but I'm actually trying to take you from point A to point B. So you need to pay attention to have some conversation with me. So there are days hit or miss, but in general, those are probably the parameters and guidelines that I have for them. I think the social media part is so important. And they often will tell me, my friend, blah, 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 have blah, blah, blah. Well, then you can go live with your friend, blah, 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 blah.
Amen. Yep. I think it's really lucky now. My kids were coming up right at the beginning of sort of that phone and social media time, and I'm glad that we held off as long as we did, and I'm glad that we had the rules we did. But I think now people like you are coming up, now we have examples to follow of like, oh, here's what worked for us. Here's what works. Here's what I would recommend. Because it is a slippery slope to wind up like an Uber driver and not be talking or not talking at your table. So it's always good to have those kinds of examples to share, like my hits and misses.
Technology is a blessing and a curse, right? Like, absolutely. Totally. Do I feel safer, that my kids I have a way to contact them after school, or if I'm running late, which is often, or they're away at camp and I can, I can track them and I can find them. Those are the things that help me sleep at night. But, if there's no phones in their rooms after bedtime, because, what's the risk? I've certainly heard horror stories about, parents who can track their teens' phone use and seeing all the late night calls and texts and, didn't establish the guidelines early enough. I'm going to give some huge credit to my kiddos here. So my younger one, she has a phone. She's not into social media at all, does not get the concept, could care less. Can she communicate with her friends? Yes, she can. But my older one, the one thing she wanted was Snapchat because all the kids were doing it. So we let her try out Snapchat now. She's 13, full disclosure. Yeah. And she used it for communication. It's a shared, like it's a parental guidance account. Like I can see what she does. Like she can't go off on her own. Like it's with my permission. Yeah. And so she used it for about 6 months, communicated with her friends, thought it was fun. And then over the holidays, I'm telling you, she's like, Mom, I think I'm going to delete Snapchat off my phone. She realized for herself that the distraction outweighed the value. That it was, she was getting sucked up in it, and it wasn't helping her. It became a hindrance, and she took the mature step and she took it off her phone. She had to, connect with all their friends and say, "I'm not going to be here anymore. So if you want to communicate with me, here's my number." But she recognized the risk. I am too. I'm so proud of her. Like I'll give her some snaps. Don't tell her that I'm bragging on her because, we got to keep her humble. But I'm still darn impressed because you don't see that a lot. I mean, technology is designed to be addictive, just like everything else that's marketed to children.
And I'm convinced that many big things and ideas come out of boredom. And if we are filling all of those empty windows of times to just be in bed before you go to sleep and having big, deep thoughts and dreams of what could be, if we're filling all of that with whatever, fill in the blank. I guess it doesn't have to be screens, but kids need to be bored. We need to be bored. There needs to be time and space in your brain to just think out some things.
Yeah. I have the best thoughts in the shower. Yeah. Shower thoughts.
Yeah, shower thoughts.
Conversations. My shower conversations. My comebacks are always so much better.
You relive your day in the shower. Yeah. Oh, why didn't I say that?
That would have been witty.
All right. We have like 2 minutes left. Vivian, any words of advice to our listener, anything you want our fans at She Said to take away from knowing you and spending time with you today?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one.
I know. Sorry, didn't warn you.
Oh, I hope that the listener can get away from this conversation that it doesn't really where you are in your life. That if you have a little bit of a calling to want to do something, it doesn't matter how old you are, where you are in your life, you should at least start anywhere. Baby step. It doesn't have to take a huge step forward from where you at, but if you could spend maybe 15 or 30 minutes of a day just to work on something you truly believe in, that will build up, and each day you work on it, each day you work on it, each day you work on it, you will eventually get to where you want it to go. But don't feel like because you are maybe 60, 70, that's too late to do something. There's no age limit or anything in any things that you wanted to do. Truly, the sky, I believe, is the limit. As long as that you feel like the things that you're doing, it's aligned with your purpose, your why, and most importantly, it's bringing you joy. Then I think go for it.
Never too late to rewrite your script.
There is no
never.
age limit on dancing with your joy,
No.
right? You'd rather flirt with failure than never
Yes.
dance with your joy.
Dance with
So
your joy. You don't want to regret.
we hope everybody out there finds an opportunity to dance with their joy sometime soon. So thank you so much, Vivian, for joining us today. And thank you to all our friends for hanging out with us for a little while today on the She Said Project podcast. Carrie, pleasure as always.
Bye. Thanks,
Over and
Vivian.
out.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project, and That's What She Said, LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.